Now let's take a very, very brief look at Oracle RAC. Oracle RAC is very complicated, but it's not that complicated when you know something about it, because really all it is actually a storage array. Any kind of disk, setup of disks, bunch of disks put together, a huge, really massively expensive EMC RAID array, or just a single server with a single disk could actually be used as a storage array, which is what I do when I build a RAC server as an experiment in my home office. I don't use it for anything other than testing, but all you're doing is you're actually taking the storage array, connecting to multiple Oracle instances all running on separate servers. Each of those servers has an Oracle instance itself with its own processors, its own memory setup, running on separate boxes. And then you connect the multiple databases to the database through a thing called cache fusion, which is essentially a merge of the separate instances, or the memory on the separate instances, to the storage array. And then all the software between manages the connection and manages the processing, the parallel processing, whatever else RAC does in terms of services and the users. But the picture that you get as a result is a single database which is internally serviced by multiple servers that are connected to a very large and very able storage array, quite often with its own memory on board as well. Oracle RAC stands for Oracle Real Application Clusters, which clusters multiple servers, commonly known as nodes, together into a single database, as seen here. The servers are at the top. You can share processing across nodes. In other words, it can split things up. It can also parallel process across nodes to a certain extent automatically. Sometimes you can over parallel process, which can cause some major problems with RAC and essentially effectively halt the database. There are ways to get around that, but that's performance tuning. That's another course. Oracle RAC can also load balance processing across nodes. In other words, if one node is very busy and a connection comes in and makes a request, then the load balancer can decide to send it to a different node that isn't quite as busy. And in the same mold, Oracle RAC can actually fail over across nodes, whereas something is running on a specific node and that particular node fails, the session can actually be passed automatically to another node that is still running, and that session can continue running depending on what is actually running that fails, or that is running on the failed server. Oracle RAC does have a very specific purpose. Like Oracle Standby. Oracle Standby is really, Oracle Data Guard is for failover. It's if your database is very active and has to be up constantly because it services users of eBay or Amazon, you have to have a backup database that automatically takes over if the production database fails, because you need to service your users, otherwise you lose a lot of money. That's the purpose of Standby. Oracle RAC is for high availability in a slightly different sense, because Oracle Standby Data Guard is actually a large part of Oracle RAC, but Oracle RAC tends to spread processing out, and it allows a different node to take over a specific session. So Standby really works at the database level, and Oracle RAC works at the session level, where you can recover sessions onto different nodes, parallel process, distribute. Basically makes it a lot faster in some respects. Not always, because you can overuse it or use it inappropriately. It doesn't mean backup. You don't use Oracle RAC for backup. You don't use Oracle Standby for backup. You use backup for backup. You use replication to do replication, which is distributed processing across an entire country, where you have multiple slightly disjointed databases, where you pass information, say, on a daily basis to databases in different parts of the country, and then users in those parts of the country access the local databases without going to the main database that has all the information that gets updated constantly. Oracle RAC is not for replication. You're not duplicating information. You're simply trying to service more connections and with more efficiency and more uptime. Again, it doesn't mean standby. In other words, much like Oracle Standby or Oracle Data Guard, Oracle RAC has a very specific purpose. And you can find Oracle RAC in the manuals under the master book list. Try Real Application Clusters, Administration Deployment Guide. There is a lot of complexity in Oracle RAC. There's a lot to learn, there's a lot of layers. It is quite different to single instance Oracle architecture. Although it does include single instance architecture, there is an extra layer known as clusterware, which is basically what the clustering software in an operating system based storage array or a proprietary purchase storage array would do. It would control the clustering of multiple servers together to use a single storage array.